In the quaint town of Willow Creek, Tennessee, where magnolia trees lined the streets and neighbors waved from porches, Emily Harper, a vibrant 28-year-old elementary school teacher, stood on the cusp of what she believed would be her life's greatest chapter. With chestnut curls and a smile that could light up a room, Emily was the kind of woman who made everyone feel at home. She was about to marry Ethan Caldwell, her partner of 5 years, a man whose rugged charm and hazel eyes had won her heart. To the townsfolk, they were the picture-perfect couple, destined, it seemed, for a fairy tale ending. The wedding was set for June 22, a golden summer day when the air would hum with cicadas and the sun would bathe Willow Creek in warmth. Every detail had been meticulously planned, from the blush peonies adorning the venue to the hand-calligraphed invitations crafted by Emily's best friend since childhood. Olivia Bennett, Olivia, 27, with her sleek auburn hair and infectious laugh, was Emily's rock. They'd shared secrets since they were 6, braiding each other's hair on sleepovers, crying over high school heartbreaks, and celebrating every milestone. When Ethan proposed under a starlit sky at Willow Creek Park, Olivia was the first person Emily called, her squeal echoing through the phone. This is it, your dream wedding. I'm all in. Olivia threw herself into the role of maid of honor with unmatched zeal, helping Emily choose the venue, a historic barn at Willow Hollow Farm. Draped in fairy lights and surrounded by rolling fields, Emily's family buzzed with excitement. Her mother, Susan, teared up every time she saw the lace-trimmed wedding gown hanging in Emily's old bedroom. Her father, Robert, a gruff but tender-hearted mechanic, practiced his father of the bride speech in the garage, muttering to himself about not crying on the big day. Emily's younger sister, Lily, 23, was a whirlwind of energy, organizing the bridal shower and gushing about how Ethan was basically a Disney prince. Even great-aunt Clara, 85, with her sharp wit and decades of wisdom, made the trip from Savannah. Over tea the night before the wedding, Clara fixed Emily with a piercing gaze. Marriage isn't just vows and flowers, darling, she said, her voice low and steady. It's about trust, through the good and the ugly. Make sure he's a man who'll stand by you when the roses fade. Emily nodded, her heart full. She and Ethan had weathered storms, his job loss 2 years ago, her mother's cancer scare, the long nights saving for a home. They were unbreakable, or so she thought. The morning of June 22 dawned bright, with sunlight streaming through the lace curtains of Emily's childhood home. She woke in her old bed, a flutter of anticipation in her chest. Today, she'd walk down the aisle toward the man she loved. Her phone buzzed with a text from Ethan. Morning. My love, can't wait to call you my wife. See you at the altar. Emily's fingers danced over the screen as she replied. Love you more. See you soon, husband. Another text followed from Olivia. Wedding day. I'm freaking out, in a good way. Getting my makeup done. Then I'm all yours. This is gonna be epic. The house was alive with activity. Susan was in the kitchen, baking enough blueberry muffins to feed the entire bridal party. Robert was on the phone with the florist, double-checking delivery times. Lily was blasting a playlist of upbeat pop songs, dancing as she curled her hair. Emily felt a calm settle over her. Everything was in place. Every decision made. All she had to do was become a bride. By 10 a.m., the photographer arrived, capturing the chaos of the bridal suite as Olivia, Lily, and Emily's cousin Sophie transformed Emily into a vision in white. Her dress, a flowing gown with delicate embroidery, hugged her frame perfectly. When she looked in the mirror, she gasped. Is that really me? She whispered. Susan's eyes welled up. You're a dream, sweetheart. Clara, sitting in an armchair, gave a nod of approval, though her eyes held a flicker of something Emily couldn't quite place. By noon, the bridal convoy headed to Willow Hollow Farm. The venue was breathtaking, tables draped in ivory linens, mason jars filled with wildflowers, and a wooden arch where Emily and Ethan would exchange vows. It's like something out of a magazine. Emily breathed, taking it all in. Olivia squeezed her hand. You're gonna knock his socks off. In the bridal suite, Emily touched up her lipstick, her nerves buzzing with excitement. She wondered what Ethan was doing, tying his tie with that goofy grin of his. Probably joking with his groomsmen. The photographer was with the men, snapping candids across the farm. Olivia excused herself at 1:30 to check on the string quartet. Be right back. Don't smudge that makeup, she teased, winking as she slipped out. At 1:45, Emily's phone rang. It was the wedding planner. Rachel, her voice tight with forced calm. Emily, just a heads up, Ethan's running a bit late. Probably just traffic. We'll sort it out. Emily's stomach twisted. Ethan was never late. He was the one who showed up 10 minutes early to everything. She called his phone. Voicemail. A text went unanswered. She tried Olivia. Straight to voicemail. By 2 o'clock, Rachel called again. We're still trying to reach Ethan. His groomsmen are here, but we're not sure where he is. The calm Emily had felt all morning dissolved into a knot of dread. The ceremony was supposed to start now. Guests were seated, whispering, their confusion palpable through the barn's open windows. Where's Olivia? Emily asked Sophie, who hovered nearby, looking worried. She went to check on something ages ago. I haven't seen her. The knot tightened. A memory flashed. Ethan mentioning he'd booked a room at the Willow Creek Inn last night. A nod to tradition about not seeing the bride before the wedding. The hotel, Emily said suddenly, her voice sharp. He's at the hotel. Susan reached for her arm. Honey, maybe we should wait, but Emily was already moving, her gown trailing behind her. I need to know where he is. Now, Clara appeared at her side, her frail frame moving with surprising speed. I'm with you, child. Let's go. The 5-minute drive to the Willow Creek Inn felt like an eternity. Emily sat in the back of her father's truck, clutching her dress, her mind racing with possibilities. Maybe Ethan was sick. Maybe there was an accident. Maybe his phone died. But a darker thought gnawed at her, one she refused to voice. The inn, a charming bed and breakfast with ivy-covered walls, loomed ahead. At the front desk, the clerk, an older woman with kind eyes, handed Emily a spare key to room 204, the honeymoon suite. You're sure about this, dear? She asked softly. Emily nodded, her throat too tight to speak. Her family followed her to the second floor, the hallway lined with floral wallpaper and soft lighting. At room 204, Emily paused, hearing muffled sounds from within, movement. A low murmur. Her heart pounded as she slid the key into the lock and pushed the door open. The room was dim, curtains drawn, but the scene before her was unmistakable. Ethan and Olivia, tangled in sheets, asleep in each other's arms. Ethan's tuxedo, meant for their wedding, lay crumpled on the floor beside Olivia's emerald green bridesmaid dress. An empty wine bottle sat on the nightstand, Olivia's earrings glinting beside it. The air left Emily's lungs. Susan gasped, Robert cursed, and Lily let out a choked sob. Emily stood frozen, taking in every detail. The way Olivia's hair spilled across Ethan's chest. The way his arm curled around her. As if this was normal. As if this wasn't the first time. Emily, Ethan mumbled, stirring as the light hit his face. His eyes widened in horror as he saw her, standing in her wedding gown. Her family behind her. Oh God, Emily, I can explain. Olivia jolted awake, clutching the sheet to her chest. It's not what it looks like. Not what it looks like. Emily's voice was a whisper, sharp as a blade. It looks like my fiancé and my best friend betrayed me on my wedding day. It looks like the two people I trusted most have been lying to me. She turned to her family, her voice steadying. Call everyone. Ethan's parents, his brother, the groomsmen. Tell them to come here. Now. Ethan scrambled for his clothes, panic in his eyes. Emily, please, let's talk privately. But she cut him off. Privately? After you humiliated me in front of our entire town? As Ethan and Olivia dressed, whispering frantically to each other, Emily's gaze fell on Olivia's purse. Inside, she found hotel keycards, not for this room, but for others. One from the Riverfront Hotel, dated a month ago, when Ethan claimed he was at a work conference. Another from a motel in Nashville. From a weekend Olivia said she was visiting family. How long? Emily asked, holding up the cards, her voice deadly calm. Neither answered, but their silence spoke volumes. Months. Maybe longer. The room filled with people. Ethan's parents. His brother Jake. The groomsmen. Even Rachel, the wedding planner. All staring in shock. Ethan's mother, Diane, clutched her necklace, whispering, "Ethan, what have you done?" Emily sat by the window, her gown pooling around her. Watching the chaos unfold, Clara stood beside her, a quiet pillar of strength. "You're stronger than this moment, child," she murmured. Emily nodded, a resolve hardening within her. She wasn't going to let this destroy her. "I want everyone back at the venue," she announced, standing. "We're going to tell the truth." Ethan begged her to reconsider. But Emily was done listening. The convoy of cars returned to Willow Hollow Farm, where 150 guests waited. Their murmurs growing louder, Emily walked down the aisle. Not as a bride, but as a woman reclaiming her story. She took the microphone, her voice clear and unwavering. "Thank you for being here," she began, meeting the eyes of friends, family, and neighbors. "There won't be a wedding today. This morning, I found Ethan and Olivia together in a hotel room. They've been having an affair for months, while I planned what I thought was the happiest day of my life." The crowd erupted, gasps, whispers, a few stifled sobs. Emily continued, her voice growing stronger. "I'm not here for pity. I'm here because you deserve to know why you're not watching a wedding. And because I deserve to tell the truth." She turned to Ethan and Olivia, who stood at the edge of the crowd, faces pale. "I don't want to marry someone who could lie to me like this. I don't want a friend who could betray me while pretending to love me." She invited the guests to stay for the reception. "The food's paid for, the band's here, and I could use a party. But Ethan and Olivia? You're not invited." As the crowd processed her words, Emily slipped off her engagement ring, the one Ethan had given her with promises of forever. She held it up, then hurled it toward the pond at the edge of the farm. It glinted in the sunlight before vanishing into the water. Cheers erupted, mixed with gasps and applause. Someone shouted, "That's my girl." Ethan's face reddened, but Emily felt a weight lift. She was done being a victim. The reception transformed into something unexpected, a celebration of Emily's strength. The band played Sweet Caroline, and guests rallied around her, sharing stories and laughter. Diane hugged Emily, tears in her eyes. "I'm so sorry, sweetheart. I thought he was better than this." Jake, Ethan's brother, swore he'd had no idea, his anger at Ethan palpable. As Ethan and Olivia slipped away, the crowd's silence followed them, a collective judgment heavier than words. As the sun set, painting the sky in hues of peach and lavender, Emily stood among her loved ones, feeling not broken, but free. Clara appeared beside her, her eyes gleaming. "You chose yourself today, darling. That's the first step to a life worth living." Emily smiled, her heart lighter than she'd expected. The day that should have been her wedding had become something else, a declaration of her worth. A promise to never settle for less than she deserved. 3 months after the wedding that never was, Emily Harper stood in the middle of her new apartment in downtown Willow Creek, Tennessee, sunlight streaming through tall windows onto hardwood floors. The space was small but hers, a one-bedroom haven with exposed brick walls, a cozy nook for her books, and a tiny balcony where she'd already placed a pot of lavender. At 28, Emily had spent the past weeks unpacking not just boxes, but her entire life. The betrayal of Ethan Caldwell, her ex-fiancé, and Olivia Bennett, her former best friend, had shattered her world on what was supposed to be her wedding day. But instead of crumbling, Emily was rebuilding, piece by piece, into a woman she barely recognized, and was beginning to love. The move to downtown marked a fresh start. Gone was the cramped apartment she'd shared with Ethan, filled with memories now tainted by his lies. Here, in her new space, Emily surrounded herself with things that sparked joy. A watercolor painting she'd bought at a local art fair, a shelf of novels she'd always meant to read, and a journal where she scribbled her thoughts each night. She'd landed a promotion at Willow Creek Elementary, now head of the kindergarten department, overseeing a team of teachers and shaping young minds with her infectious passion. Her days were filled with the laughter of 5-year-olds, their sticky fingers clutching her hand as they learned to write their names or shared stories about their pet goldfish. Teaching had always been her calling. But now it felt like her anchor, grounding her in purpose. Emily also found solace in giving back. She'd started volunteering at the Willow Creek Women's Shelter, a place where women escaping toxic relationships rebuilt their lives. Every Saturday, she sat with them, listening to their stories, helping with job applications, or teaching basic budgeting skills. Their resilience mirrored her own, and their courage fueled her determination to keep moving forward. One woman, Maria, a single mother of two, gripped Emily's hand after a workshop. Tears in her eyes. "You make me believe I can do this," she said. Emily smiled, her heart swelling. "You already are." In her newfound freedom, Emily rediscovered passions she'd set aside during her engagement. She enrolled in a painting class at the community center, where she spent Thursday evenings splashing vibrant colors onto canvas, her brush strokes bold and unapologetic. Her first piece, a sunset over Willow Creek's rolling hills, wasn't perfect. But it was hers, and she hung it proudly above her couch. She started running again, too, her sneakers pounding the trails around the town lake, the rhythm of her breath syncing with the rustle of leaves. With each step, she felt stronger, lighter, as if she were shedding the weight of her past. One crisp September afternoon, as Emily sipped coffee at the Bean Barn, her new favorite haunt, her phone rang. The name on the screen stopped her cold. Olivia Bennett. She hadn't spoken to Olivia since that devastating day at the Willow Creek Inn, when she'd found her best friend in bed with Ethan. Her finger hovered over the decline button. But curiosity, or perhaps a need for closure, made her answer. "Emily, it's me." Olivia's voice was small, trembling. "I know you probably hate me, but I need to say something." Emily leaned back in her chair, her grip tightening on her mug. "Go ahead." Olivia's words spilled out, raw and halting. "I've been in therapy, trying to figure out why I did what I did. I was jealous. You had it all. Love, confidence, a future. I felt stuck, like I was failing at life. When Ethan started talking to me, telling me he wasn't sure about the wedding, I didn't stop him. I encouraged it. I let it happen because I wanted what you had." Emily's breath caught. Ethan had doubts? The man who'd promised her forever had been questioning it all along? He said he felt trapped. Olivia continued, "And instead of telling him to talk to you, I crossed a line. I'm so sorry, Emily. I know it's too late. But I needed you to know it wasn't about you not being enough. It was about me being broken and him being weak." Emily stared out the cafe window, watching leaves skitter across the sidewalk. A year ago, this call would have gutted her. Now, it felt like a door creaking shut. "Are you still with him?" she asked. Her voice steady. "No," Olivia said quickly. "It fell apart right after, you know. We had nothing real, just guilt and lies." Emily nodded to herself. "Thanks for telling me, Olivia, but you're right, it's too late." She hung up, her heart pounding but not breaking. Olivia's apology didn't erase the betrayal, but it gave Emily something she hadn't expected, confirmation that she'd been right to walk away. That same week, Emily noticed a barista at the Bean Barn, Lucas Reed, a 30-year-old with warm brown eyes and a quiet kindness that made her feel at ease. They'd been chatting for weeks, small talk about coffee blends, the weather, or the quirky regulars who frequented the shop. Lucas was different from Ethan. Where Ethan had been all charm and bravado, Lucas was steady, thoughtful, with a dry humor that made Emily laugh until her sides ached. One day, as he handed her a latte with a perfectly swirled heart in the foam, he grinned. "You know, Emily, I'm starting to think you come here for my art, not the coffee." She laughed, blushing. "Maybe it's both." Their conversations grew longer, deeper. Lucas shared stories of growing up in a small town in Kentucky, his love for hiking, and his dream of opening his own cafe someday. He listened when Emily talked about her students, her painting, her fears of trusting again. He never pushed, never made her feel like she had to be anything other than herself. One evening, as they sat on her balcony sharing takeout from the local diner, Lucas took her hand. "I like you, Emily, just as you are. No pressure, But I'd love to take you out sometime. Her heart fluttered, not with the frantic excitement she'd felt with Ethan, but with something softer, truer. I'd like that, she said, and meant it. Over the next year, Emily's life blossomed in ways she never imagined. Her promotion to head of the kindergarten department led to a district-level role, where she spearheaded an early childhood development initiative. Her innovative programs, integrating art and storytelling into the curriculum, caught the attention of a national education magazine, which featured her in a glowing article titled, "The Teacher Redefining Kindergarten." Colleagues praised her vision, parents thanked her for inspiring their children, and Emily felt a pride she'd never known before. "You're a force," her principal, Mrs. Carter, told her at the end-of-year assembly, where Emily's students performed a play about a magical forest, their tiny voices filling the room with wonder. Her work at the women's shelter became a cornerstone of her life. She organized art therapy sessions, watching women find healing in the same brush strokes that had helped her reclaim her joy. One evening, Maria, now thriving in a new job, gave Emily a handmade bracelet. "For giving me hope," she said. Emily wore it every day, a reminder that pain could lead to purpose. Her relationship with Lucas grew steadily, built on honesty and mutual respect. They took weekend trips to the Smoky Mountains, hiked trails hand in hand, and spent quiet nights cooking dinner in her apartment. Lucas never made her feel like she needed to be perfect. When she told him about Ethan and Olivia, he listened without judgment, then said simply, "They didn't deserve you, but I'm glad I get the chance to." Their first kiss, under a harvest moon, felt like a promise, not of a fairy tale, but of something real. Emily reconnected with old friends, too, traveling to Charleston to visit her college roommate and to Asheville for a weekend with her cousin Sophie. She read voraciously, devouring novels and memoirs that spoke to resilience and self-discovery. Her journal filled with reflections, dreams, and lists of things that made her happy: the smell of rain, the sound of her students laughing, the way Lucas's eyes crinkled when he smiled. She was learning to be alone without being lonely, to trust her instincts, to value her own happiness above anyone else's expectations. One evening, as she sat on her balcony, a text came from Great Aunt Clara. "Read about your program in the paper. You're shining, darling. Keep going." Emily smiled, typing back, "Thanks for showing me what strength looks like." Clara's response was swift. "You had it all along, child. I just helped you see it." A year after the wedding, Emily stood in her classroom, watching her students scamper to their parents at the end-of-year celebration. A 5-year-old, Chloe, tugged at her skirt. "Miss Harper, did you see me be the butterfly?" Emily crouched down, grinning. "You were the best butterfly I've ever seen." As the room emptied, Mrs. Carter approached. "The district wants you for a new role, Director of Early Education Programs." "It's big, Emily. A chance to shape policy across the state." Emily's heart raced. It was a dream she hadn't dared voice. "I'm in," she said, her voice steady. That night, Lucas took her to a quiet Italian restaurant to celebrate. Over candlelight and pasta, she told him about the opportunity, her excitement spilling over. He listened, his eyes bright with pride. "You're going to change lives, Emily. You already are." Later, as they walked through Willow Creek's downtown, past the coffee shop where they'd first connected, Emily felt a profound gratitude. A year ago, she'd thought losing Ethan and Olivia meant losing everything. Now, she saw it for what it was: a painful but necessary catalyst. The betrayal had forced her to confront her own worth, to build a life that was hers alone. She'd learned that happiness wasn't something you waited for, it was something you created. Through choices big and small. She thought of the women at the shelter, starting over with nothing but courage. She thought of her students, discovering their potential with every new day. She thought of Lucas, who loved her not for who she might become, but for who she was now. As they reached her apartment, Emily caught her reflection in a shop window. The woman staring back was confident, at peace, radiant in a way that had nothing to do with the wedding gown. She was no longer the bride who'd stood in a hotel doorway, watching her dreams collapse. She was Emily Harper, teacher, artist, friend, partner, and above all, A woman who knew her own value. The best revenge, she realized, wasn't about hurting those who'd hurt her. It wasn't about Ethan or Olivia, who'd faded into irrelevance, their lives a footnote in her story. The best revenge was this. A life so vibrant, so authentic, so undeniably hers that their betrayal couldn't touch it. She raised an imaginary glass to herself, whispering, to Emily, for choosing herself. And as the stars twinkled above Willow Creek, Emily knew this was just the beginning. Tomorrow, she'd meet with the district about her new role. Tomorrow, she'd paint, or run, or laugh with Lucas over coffee. Tomorrow, she'd keep building a life that was enough, more than enough, because it was hers.